Sadly, I didn't get to watch all too many movies in February, but I did start watching some of the movies that are nominated for an Academy Award this year. My best friend and I spent a weekend in the Swiss Alps snowboarding, and one evening we decided to go watch Spider-Man: No Way Home. Now I've seen this movie already, but I really wanted him to see it, and yeah, we both really enjoyed it. Such a good movie if you grew up and love watching Spider-Man movies. So after a full day of snowboarding, we were usually quite worn out in the evenings and then usually also just stayed at home and watched some movies. We started rewatching the Dark Knight trilogy. I find these some of the best movies and my personal favorite superhero movies. Yeah, Batman Begins is a really good origin story of Batman. It sets off just this amazing trilogy. We then, the next evening, also watched The Dark Knight. This is a masterpiece. Like, I don't know how many times I've seen this movie. It's probably one of my most watched movies. Heath Ledger's legendary performance of the Joker is iconic. Just the whole structure of the film, the story, and also Hans Zimmer's score in this film is so amazing. It really gives me goosebumps every time I hear it. My dad had mentioned a lot about David Cronenberg's Videodrome, and ever since I started watching some of Cronenberg's movie, I was excited to watch it. Just like my dad said, the movie was quite absurd, just like every other Cronenberg movie, but I still found it very interesting. Sadly though, I was really tired that evening, and towards the end, or more like in the half of the movie, I kind of kept dozing off and falling asleep in between. So yeah, at the end I just didn't really enjoy it that much, but I'll gladly give it another watch sometime. Next, I watched a movie by James Ivory called Maurice. It's about two young men trying to discover themselves and true love. What I enjoy most about the movies of James Ivory are the beautiful landscapes. I realized this when I first watched Call Me By Your Name, which he didn't direct, but he wrote it and probably had the beautiful Italian landscape in mind. In A Room with a View, there was also a lot of beautiful landscapes, and that movie he directed as well. And yeah, just in this movie, that stood out the most to me. As a child, I watched a lot of animated movies, but most of them were American made. Spirited Away is a Japanese animation from 2001, and I never actually saw it as a kid, as far as I can remember. But I had heard a lot of great things about it, and that even a lot of adults really enjoy it. The animation is so well done, mostly hand-drawn. The soundtrack is very beautiful, and just the combination of the two just brings you into this totally new world. But at the same time, there are a lot of things that we in our daily lives can relate to as well, such as overworking, stress, materialism, and yeah, just greed in general. I continued with another foreign film from France. It's called Titane, and it won the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival. Now, the only thing I knew about this movie before I watched it was that a woman has sex with a car. So knowing that, I thought it would be just as absurd like some of Gaspar Noé's movies, but other than a few scenes, it actually wasn't that absurd. Yeah, the story has like two different sides to it. One is kind of the absurd part that you just kind of heard now of, and the other is a very natural human experience about family, and yeah, it's very relatable to some. So I'm a huge fan of the original Star Wars trilogy, and I had heard a lot that George Lucas was greatly inspired by the Japanese director Akira Kurosawa. The Hidden Fortress has a lot of similarities to Star Wars: A New Hope. If you're a fan of Star Wars, I'd recommend giving this movie a watch. I personally found it very interesting to kind of compare the two movies and see what scenes influenced Star Wars. So last month I started preparing for the Academy Awards, and The first movie I watched, or actually rewatched, is Dune. I'm a huge fan of this sci-fi epic and I'm really looking forward to the second part. Yeah, I had read the book before the movie come out, or actually just listen to the audiobook. I don't read that many books, but still, I'm very excited for the next parts to come out. Another visually stunning film is The Red Shoes. Now, it's not a sci-fi epic that came out just a year ago. It was released in 1948, and it's about a ballet dancer performing in a world-famous ballet. What makes this movie so visually stunning though is that it was filmed in Technicolor. So that means the colors were very bright and very vibrant, and yeah, it was nice to watch. In one of the scenes that lasted actually quite a while, you got to see the actual ballet being played out on the screen, and I thought that was really cool because you had seen everything going on around the ballet before and afterwards, all the drama, but yeah, for I don't know, maybe like 10-15 minutes you got to watch the actual ballet, so I thought that was pretty cool to bring that into the movie. I then continued with another older movie. I watched Murder on the Orient Express, the original one. Ever since I watched the remake in 2017, I was really excited to watch the original. Sadly though, I didn't enjoy it that much as the remake. I'm not sure if it has to do with that I already knew how this murder mystery unfolds and what happens, but I also just found the ending was more exciting in the remake. The last movie I watched in February was The Power of the Dog by Jane Campion. I think this movie will definitely win a couple of awards. I think it's a really good story. The acting is phenomenal. Yeah, so I'm excited to see which of the awards they will actually win. This movie has like very subtle details. Some of them you might not realize the first time watching it. I definitely didn't quite get all the subtle references and hidden meanings. So therefore I find this is a movie that probably gets even better on a second or third watch. Now I would like to give y'all 3 recommendations. My first recommendation goes to Spirited Away. This Japanese animated movie I really enjoyed and now wish I would have seen as a kid already. Yeah, but like I mentioned, even as a young adult, or I think at any time during life, you will find this movie interesting and will find a way to relate to it. If you like watching French movies, I'd recommend watching Titane. Like a lot of French movies, there's some absurd elements in it, but there's still a lot of heartwarming, heartbreaking scenes in this film. It talks about love and family. Family is a big topic in this film. So yeah, give it a watch. And my last recommendation goes to The Red Shoes. Supposedly this is one of Martin Scorsese's favorite movies, and I also find it's just a classic old Hollywood type of movie. Yeah, the colors in there are really nice, and yeah, it's also cool. You just get to like watch part of this ballet in the middle of the film. Alright, those are the movies I watched last month. Let me know which of these y'all have seen and how y'all like them, and I'll see y'all next month.